poppin' YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Zach Lesage here, and I'm so excited to bring you the top 5 decks heading into Peoria Regionals. I'm going to be attending that event, so if you see me there, by all means feel free to say hi. I'm going to be wearing a Shuffle Squad shirt, and a lot of the Shuffle Squad members are going to be there. So give this video a like, share, subscribe to help support the Shuffle Squad. Be sure to watch for the best decks heading into this weekend and seeing how it all goes. If you're trying to pick up any of these cards, use code TSS12 to save 12% off at atlastcg.com. You could also go to ptcgostore.com, plug in code TSS5 to save 5% off your order. That being said, let's jump into it, going to our number 5 spot. Jumping into our number 5 pick is going to be Mew VMAX without Fusion Strike Energy. Mew VMAX with double turbo energy all the way. This deck started popping up around the London Open and it had a few top 8 spots there. Did very well in Baltimore, ultimately coming second place with a few more in the top 8. And in a Lost Origin legal event, we have to look at the past to somehow see if these decks can continue to see success. It didn't really gain too much, but it did gain Lost City, which is enough for you to take out random threats such as Radiant Charizard, Drapion V, and that does give you a little bit of footing in those matchups. You also have Lost Vacuum, which is a Cram-O-Maticable item card that allows you to find a way to either, you could pitch it away to grab something else, but it's different than having a hard stadium. So Mew gained a couple little tricks. The goal of this deck is to power up Mew VMAX with a double turbo energy and basically copy Technoblast. You use Technoblast with Cross Switcher, you can use Technoblast Switch. It does Technoblast things. It's supposed to be very consistent, and I am actually using the list of Goof GG. They've done an absolute wonderful job with this deck. This looks very similar to my double turbo energy deck that I had from last format that I played around with Cheryl. I like that you're able to heal against some of those things. Will this deck lose to Lost Zone Box? Maybe. Will this deck lose to some other decks? Maybe. Is it very consistent, very easy to play, and has a lot of things going on that gives you opportunities to win a lot of games? Yes. So this is why this deck is our number 5 pick. I don't think the Mew VMAX deck with Fusion Strike Energy is bad by any means. It just is a little bit less consistent than this, and consistency can be key at these majorly large regional championships. So if you're looking for a great deck, this is a great pick, and it's going to see a lot of success at Peoria in my opinion. I think a lot of people are going to default on Mew. Jumping into our number 4 pick is going to be one of the newest decks from Lost Origin, and that's going to be Lost Zone Box. This deck did very well at the Japanese Champions League in Yokohama, and it also came first the largest late night series of all time from the Shuffle Squad member, Cal Connor. There was a little bit of a difference because we didn't have Serena from S11A, but we do have access to boss's orders. So for what it's worth, Serena is kind of a situational boss in some cases. This deck can just play boss in our format. The goal of this deck is to get cards in the Lost Zone by using Comfey's Flower Gathering ability. You want to grab those cards, slap them in the Lost Zone, use Chorus's Experiments to grab other cards in the Lost Zone, and keep on using Scoop Up Net and switching cards to get them into the Lost Zone. Where does this deck stand against the metagame? Well, you have opportunities to snipe out Sobbles with Sableye, you have opportunities to get cheap attacks in with Cramorant, and Radiant Charizard already won Baltimore, so we know it's successful. Canceling Cologne in this deck at 4 of copies is to get around things with Pokestop, so you can Pokestop out canceling Cologne if your opponent has Inteleon V in the active spot. Shout out to Alex Szymanski, again another Shuffle Squad member, for playing this at the Limitless Showdown just this past weekend. This is the list that I'd be playing if I were to be playing the deck. I think it seems incredibly powerful. Is it able to get shut down by random things? Will your opponent play ways to get around Comfey and Lost Zone Box? Yes. But this deck should boast a decent matchup against things like Palkia, should boast a decent matchup against a lot of things because it's teched out appropriately. So it might not necessarily look like a normal list, and if Regigigas pops up, which we could all be surprised, it is one of those things where I do think this deck might want to play an Articuno. Beyond that, I think this list looks great. It's incredibly consistent. It's difficult to play, but difficult doesn't necessarily mean bad. What deck's going to be in our number 3 spot? Let's figure that out. Jumping into our number 3 spot is going to be Giratina VSTAR with the Comfey Lost Zone engine. So as we saw with the Lost Zone engine before, this deck can already be successful. We already know that Comfey and Colress is the greatest way to get things in the Lost Zone, and it can power up Cramorant's attack, it can power up Sableye, but in this case we're shooting for Mirage Gate most of the time so that we can accelerate different energies to our Giratina VSTAR. I think that sounds absolutely fantastic. And I really want to be powering up a Pokemon that does 280 damage. Does it come with a drawback of sending it cards into your Lost Zone? Basically energies? Yeah, it does. But you can also send energies off of anyone, which makes it quite interesting in a lot of ways. 280 HP is enough, or 280 damage is enough to knock out a Pokemon 280 HP. Enough said there, we understand that. But that's enough to knock out a Palkia VSTAR and Arceus VSTAR. And its other attack, its VSTAR attack, allows you to knock out anything. It's just knocked out. So it could be a Duraludon VMAX. It could be a Mew VMAX. It could be whatever. You have ways to knock out whatever you want with this deck. Radiant Greninja does offer you kind of a sigh of relief when it comes to playing against these decks that feature single prize card Pokemon, because you can actually use your Moonlight Shuriken attack over and over again, because you can accelerate water energy on with Mirage Gate and really get that powered up quickly. So there's a lot of little plays that you got in Thornton and Roxanne. To me, this seems like the balance of a very powerful list, and it's been working well for me in my testing. So if you're looking for kind of playing something brand new, something that's incredibly powerful, the next big VSTAR deck, should I call it, Giratina VSTAR seems like it's there, and it's definitely going to see a lot of success at the event. I think if there's anything that really embodies the Lost Origin kind of set, this is really that deck, and if it's not this deck, then it's the Lost Zone box. But with the word Lost in the set and being all based around the Lost Zone, those two are really going to be the two newest decks that really pack that Lost Zone punch. Jumping into our number 2 pick, we have Kyurem VMAX with Palkia VSTAR. Palkia VSTAR is no stranger to the spotlight, but here we are with Kyurem VMAX. Now, Kyurem VMAX is kind of very much the same card as Ice Rider, except it's better. You have its Glaciated World ability that allows you to stack water energies on top of your deck with Oranguru and accelerate them. That's the whole goal of this deck. And then we have a way that we can do 120 plus 50 for each one that we want to discard. So we have a way to scale our damage up, or just not discard anything if we don't want to, if we're attacking against a single prize card Pokemon. I originally didn't have a barrel in this deck, and the reason why I added it in is because I recently played in a Toronto 2K event with this deck, and I was getting Roxanne every time, and the Roxanne would just hit hard. The barrel is almost an unfortunate action, and it's unfortunately necessary for this deck. Once your Kyurem has kind of depleted its energies, use Origin Form Palkia to bring those energies back, and then you can just attack again. So this deck is an absolute tank, and if you're a newer player to the event, or if you want to play a deck that's relatively easy to run, as long as you're okay with stacking waters on top of your deck legally, this deck should be cool. We added in 1 copy of Inteleon V. In a lot of cases, a lot of decks are playing counters to Inteleon V. I'd want to play 1 just because I think it's a good pivot to accelerate energies to the Kyurem VMAX as you try to stop your opponent's Comfey. And we have enough ways to get around it. It also improves this deck's Regigigas matchup greatly. With us having access to Glaciated World, we could also use Moonlight Shuriken multiple times in a game, beyond just using Star Portal. So this deck seems to work all together. We did go based off of Grant Manley's top 16 Ice Rider Palkia list at Worlds, so there's a lot of similarities here. But this is what we got going on for the deck right now. I think this list is absolutely fantastic, but I have seen lists with Double Inteleon, Nova Barrel. I have seen lists with Boss's Orders. Feel free to build this deck as you like. I don't think you can necessarily go wrong as long as you're going with Palkia, Kyurem, and accelerating energies. That's a really good strategy. This is where my list is at right now, but it has changed on a daily basis for the past couple weeks. Will I play this deck? I'm not sure, but I do really like this deck, and it did bring me to a first place finish at a large 100+ player tournament. So maybe I'll take that and run with it. Maybe I won't. We'll see how it goes. What's going to be our number 1 pick? Put your best guess in the comments below. Here we have it, the number 1 deck heading into Peoria, and it shouldn't be a surprise to anyone. It's Origin Form Palkia VSTAR. Now, Palkia VSTAR has been seeing a lot of success, and I mean, largely this deck kind of took over the metagame since Milwaukee NAIC Worlds. It didn't win, but if you look at the decks that won both NAIC and Worlds, it was counter decks to Palkia. Why would you play a counter deck? Probably because you're countering the best deck in the formats. This deck's all about using shady dealings to kind of get whatever you want while you're keeping Palkia VSTAR afloat. You have opportunities to attack with many different Pokemon, both single prize card, 2 prize card Pokemon. Radiant Greninja, as you can see, has been a very large theme in a lot of these decks and can attack with Moonlight Shuriken in a lot of these decks. There's a lot of single prize card Pokemon that you can take advantage of that situation, especially with canceling clone and cross switchers. I decided to go with the 4-battle VIP pass list. I go back and forth if I like that list or not. It's very difficult to decide if I want to play 1 or if I want to play 4. I'll leave that up to every single person, but this is what we got going on for the list right now. This is a very technical deck, whereas Kyurem Palkia is a lot more of a powerhouse. This deck does have outs getting around to Roxanne built in. With Drizzles, you have ways to just be a very powerful deck and Roxanne path your opponent out of nowhere. So if you wanted a deck that can kind of find ways to maneuver through the cracks in the wall, this is really where it's at. Other decks might not necessarily get to this point of power. We know how strong this deck is. We know the strategy of the deck. We have a solid deck list for this deck. That is why Palkia VSTAR is #1. There's just not a deck that has the matchup spread it does. Recently, Trainer Hill published some information on the top 8 decks in the formats. Palkia VSTAR had the best matchup spread out of the game, and its worst matchup was 50-50 against itself and Mirror, which is quite often a skill-based matchup if both players set up. Versus everything else, it had above a 50-50 matchup, with it having at least like a 55% against everything or better. So Palkia is not really losing to much. It's not necessarily winning against much either, but if you're a skillful player and you're looking to have a deck that gives you opportunities to win every single game and every single matchup, I'd go with this one. That being said, it's our #1. Let us know how you feel about it in the comments below. Let me close things out. And that's what we got going on for our video today. Hopefully you enjoyed my decks between the decks that I've handpicked from some of the top players in the game, my own personal creations, and more. I think these are the decks to watch out for, to expect and see exactly how the event plays out. We can only find out. Is there another deck? Will Gudra make it? Will Arcantel make it? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear some feedback on my list. The lists are going to be available in the video, so by all means feel free to check out the tags there. Feel free to screenshot. The PTCGO exports, imports are not necessarily going to be great for this one, but by all means also consider becoming a Patreon member. We do have access to all of these deck lists in our server, and we had it before this video was created. We're just trying to provide the best information for everyone. Again, use code TSS12 at atlastcg.com to save 12% off any singles, sealed, graded product, even Magic, Yu-Gi-Oh, everything that they got. Really great sponsorship there. And go to PTCGO store, use code TSS5 to save 5% off of any of those codes that you're looking for. And if you're a Patreon member, you do get a little bit extra bonus for that one too. Check out some words from our sponsors of the Shuffle Squad, and I'll catch up with all y'all in Peoria. Peace out and have a great day.
Squad is proudly sponsored by Atlas Collectibles, the best place to buy any trading card game product online. Visit atlastcg.com, and at the checkout screen, make sure to use code TSS12 to save an unbeatable 12% off your entire order. Atlas Collectibles will ship your product anywhere in the world, so make sure you're taking advantage of the 12% savings with TSS12. And if Pokemon is not your thing, don't worry. Go to atlastcg.com and see all the other amazing trading card game products they have there to offer.
The Shuffle Squad is partnered with PTCGO store to provide our community with the best access to Pokemon TCG codes. They have codes available 24/7, instant email delivery, and you can save 5% off by using code TSS5. If you're a YouTube member or Patreon supporter, you'll have access to a special code that gets you 10% off. So what are you waiting for? Use code TSS5 today and save 5% on your next order of codes on any codes available at ptcgostore.com.
Pokex Word, the best place to get your fill of Pokemon-inspired puzzles. New puzzles are posted every day, and they recently launched a new Guess That Pokemon puzzle, which is a ton of fun to play. Go check them out at pokexword.com and be sure to follow them on Twitter for your chance to win a ton of PTCGO codes every month.
Check out the Late Night Series Season 6, brought to you by myself, Zach Lesage, and the Shuffle Squad. We're going to be running a bunch of sick events for the Pokemon community, and they start on August 30th. So one thing you might be noticing here is that there's an EU time and an NA time. We have one at 12 p.m. Eastern, which works out to about 5 p.m. in London. And then we have one at 7 p.m. Eastern, which should help out a lot of players on the West Coast play in this event. That being said, we still have a lot of cool things going on. Expect similar prizing that we've had for other Late Night Series events. expect better staffing, expect better tournament experiences, and of course we do have a stream going up for this season as well, and I will be streaming the event on Twitch. That being said, we have the whole season up on the Play Limitless website. Late Night 51 all the way through 70 runs until we hit the Invitational on November 5th. So check that out, sign up today, and support Zach Lesage events and the Shuffle Squad. See you there.